It was just another quiet Thursday morning in Los Angeles. The sky was clear, the sun was warm, and birds could be heard chirping outside Selena Gomez's window. She had just woken up, still wrapped in a blanket, and slowly made her way to the kitchen. Her dog followed close behind, tail wagging as he waited for breakfast. Selena poured herself a cup of coffee, leaned against the counter, and picked up her phone. It had charged overnight, and she expected a few texts or maybe an email or two. But the screen lit up with a flood of notifications. Dozens of text messages, calls from her manager, old friends, even people she hadn't spoken to in months. Her heart gave a small jump. She frowned and tapped on one of the messages. It was from her assistant. Selena, you need to check Twitter right now. Something huge just dropped. Her eyes narrowed as she opened the app. Right at the top, she saw her name trending. Not just her name, Taylor Swift's name too. And then she saw the headline. Taylor Swift's private message to Selena Gomez leaked online. Selena stared at the words, not believing what she was reading. She clicked on the post. It showed screenshots of a message. Long, full of emotion, sent from Taylor to her. A message meant to be seen by Selena alone. But now, millions of people were reading it. Her fingers paused mid-scroll. Her coffee was getting cold, but she didn't notice. The message wasn't about any drama. There were no secrets or gossip. It was simply a personal note from Taylor. Words filled with appreciation, memories, and gratitude. Taylor had written about the times Selena stood by her, the quiet nights they spent talking when the world outside felt too loud, and the moments that helped her heal. Selena placed her phone down and sat at the kitchen table. She took a deep breath, trying to understand how something so private had become so public. She wasn't angry, more shocked than anything. This wasn't a scandal, but it was still personal. She thought about the last time she and Taylor had spoken. It was just a week ago. They had laughed about something silly and promised to catch up soon. Now their friendship was on full display for the internet to see. The sound of her dog's paws on the floor brought her back to the moment. She smiled softly and gave him a gentle pat. She knew the day ahead would be filled with calls, questions, and probably a few headlines. But right now, she just wanted a few minutes of quiet. The message had been exposed, yes, but the truth inside it, it wasn't something she needed to hide. And deep down, she knew that anyone who read it would see the same thing she saw, an honest friendship that had lasted through the years. The moment Selena read the message online, the floodgates opened. Within minutes, the story spread like wildfire across the internet. The leak wasn't just a small mention, it was everywhere. From social media platforms to gossip blogs, everyone had something to say. Fans, celebrities, and even journalists were all talking about it. Selena's phone buzzed nonstop. Notifications came pouring in from every direction. Her manager was the first to call. Selena, are you okay? The voice on the other end of the line was filled with concern. This is blowing up everywhere. Selena wasn't sure what to say. She could feel her heart racing, but she took a deep breath. Yeah, I'm fine, she replied. I just wasn't expecting this to happen. The message from Taylor was private. It wasn't meant for public eyes. It was a raw, heartfelt expression of appreciation. But now, millions of people were reading it. Selena knew that the world loved Taylor and that anything involving her would get a lot of attention. But this felt different. The message had been meant for a much smaller audience, just Taylor and herself. It was never supposed to be exposed like this. But no matter how much she tried to ignore the headlines, they were everywhere. People on Twitter were commenting, sharing their thoughts. Some were touched by the message. Others felt uncomfortable that something so private had been shared without permission. It was clear that the world was both fascinated and divided. As the hours passed, Selena scrolled through the comments. There were many who appreciated the honesty of the message. They called it beautiful and said it showed how real Taylor and Selena's friendship was. Some fans even shared their own personal stories of friendship, using the message as a reminder of how important it is to support those close to you. But there were others who questioned how such a personal message had gotten out in the first place. They wondered whether it had been intentional or if someone had made a mistake. Selena didn't have answers. She only knew that this wasn't the way she'd expected her morning to go. What made things even more complicated was that Taylor hadn't said anything publicly yet. No tweet, no statement, nothing. The silence only added to the confusion. People were guessing. Was Taylor upset? Was she going to address the leak? But all Selena could do was wait. Still, through all the chaos, there was something comforting about the message. It was a simple note of appreciation from a friend, And that's what mattered the most to her. She wasn't angry. She wasn't upset. But she was tired. The weight of the internet's constant buzzing, the flashing headlines, and the endless comments were starting to feel heavy. It was hard to ignore the noise, but Selena knew she needed to. There was only one thing she could do now. Take a deep breath, look back at the message one more time, and remember that it was real, a beautiful, unfiltered moment of friendship. As the hours passed, Selena could still feel the weight of the leaked message on her mind. It was hard to shake off the feeling that something so personal was now out in the open. But as she reread Taylor's words over and over, something began to shift in her thoughts. At first, it had felt like an invasion, like a piece of her life that should have stayed private had been stolen. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized that Taylor's message wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was beautiful, raw, and full of love. Taylor's message had been long, and it had clearly come from the heart. She spoke about their years of friendship, about the tough moments they had faced together, and the quiet support they'd given each other. It wasn't filled with gossip or drama, like so many people assumed. It was just real. It was about the bond that had kept them going through the highs and lows of their careers and personal lives. It was the kind of friendship that many people long for, but few get to experience. As Selena read the message again, she could feel Taylor's emotions in every word. The way she spoke about the hard times they had gone through, the moments when everything seemed too difficult, and how Selena had always been there for her. Taylor's message reminded Selena of the time they spent together when the world seemed to turn against them. They had shared tears, laughter, and late-night talks about everything from their careers to their hopes for the future. There was one part of the message that stood out to Selena. Taylor wrote about how grateful she was for the way Selena had always understood her. No judgment, just kindness. It was the kind of understanding that came from knowing someone deeply. Taylor spoke about how they had both struggled with public life, but their friendship was the one thing that had remained constant. Selena couldn't help but smile as she thought about the message. She knew it was meant to be personal, something just for the two of them. But even though it was now out in the world, it still felt like a special bond between them. The way Taylor expressed her feelings wasn't something Selena had expected to see online, but it was clear that Taylor had opened up in a way that very few people ever got to see. As she sat there, with the phone in her hand, Selena felt a sense of peace settle over her. Yes, the leak had caused a storm, but the message itself was nothing to be upset about. In fact, it was the kind of message that made Selena feel proud of the friendship they had built over the years. It reminded her of the power of true, deep friendships, the ones that don't need to be perfect, but are real and unbreakable. At the end of the day, the leak hadn't changed anything. It had only revealed what Selena already knew, that Taylor's words were a beautiful reminder of the strength and love that defined their friendship, and that she thought was something worth sharing with the world. The news about the leaked message spread quickly, and by midday, it was the talk of the internet. People couldn't stop talking about it. Every platform was buzzing with opinions, reactions, and speculations. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and even the most popular news websites were filled with posts about Taylor Swift's private message to Selena Gomez. The hashtags #Taylena and #friendship goals were everywhere, and it felt like the whole world had become obsessed with the leak. For Selena, it was overwhelming. She'd never expected something so personal to become such a huge topic. As the day wore on, her phone buzzed constantly. Messages from friends, family, and even fans flooded in. Some were supportive, saying how beautiful the message was, while others were questioning how it had been leaked in the first place. But the most surprising thing was how the leak had turned into a massive conversation about friendship. On social media, fans were sharing their own stories, using the message as a way to talk about their closest friendships. They posted photos, memories, and stories of times when their friends had stood by them during tough moments. Many people commented that they hoped they could have a friendship as strong as the one Taylor and Selena shared. The message had sparked something deeper than just gossip. It was encouraging people to reflect on their own relationships. Still, not everyone was happy about the leak. There were plenty of people who thought it was wrong for such a private moment to be exposed. Some even wondered if it was intentional, trying to piece together whether Taylor and Selena had planned the leak to generate buzz. But that didn't seem to be the case. Selena knew that this wasn't the way either of them would have wanted such a personal message to go public. In one of her favorite group chats, Selena saw a message from one of her closest friends asking if she was okay. "I'm fine," she typed back quickly. "It's just a lot, you know." She felt the weight of the attention, and it wasn't all positive. There were comments that speculated about their friendship, wondering if they had some kind of hidden drama or if something was going on behind the scenes. It was frustrating, but Selena refused to let the noise get to her. She knew the truth, and she knew that Taylor did too. They didn't need to explain themselves to anyone. Amid the chaos, Taylor's silence stood out. Neither she nor Selena had commented publicly about the leak. For now, it seemed like they were both taking a step back, letting the world talk while they processed everything privately. It was clear that the leak had changed the conversation, but neither Taylor nor Selena felt the need to engage with the noise just yet. As the hours stretched on and more posts continued to flood the internet, Selena sat back for a moment and thought about everything. She realized that, despite the whirlwind of reactions, one thing remained true. The message between her and Taylor was something real, something meaningful. The chaos was temporary, but their friendship, that was something no one could take away. As the day passed, Selena found herself thinking more about the message Taylor had sent her. At first, the flood of attention and reactions had been overwhelming. But now, as the hours wore on, she felt a sense of clarity. The world was talking about their friendship, yes, but it wasn't about the leak anymore. It was about something much deeper, the bond they shared, and the strength of their connection. Selena knew that her friendship with Taylor was something special. It had always been that way. They had known each other for years, long before either of them had become famous. They had shared countless moments, from laughing over silly jokes to comforting each other through hard times. No matter what was going on in their busy lives, they always made time for each other. That was the foundation of their friendship: understanding, support, and trust. The truth was, both Taylor and Selena had been through their fair share of challenges in the spotlight. The pressures of fame, the public scrutiny, and the constant buzz around their personal lives were things they had learned to deal with together. They had spent late nights talking about everything: life, career, and their hopes for the future. No matter what happened, they knew they could count on each other. As Selena sat quietly in her living room, scrolling through her phone, she read the messages and posts from their fans. So many people had shared their admiration for Taylor and Selena's friendship, seeing it as a symbol of what real friendship could look like. Some of the comments even made her smile, with fans saying how much they wished they had a friend who would stand by them the way Selena and Taylor did for each other. It was moving, and it made her appreciate the relationship they had even more. Selena also saw a few people questioning how the message had gotten out and if Taylor and Selena were upset about the leak. But as she thought about it, she realized that wasn't what mattered. What mattered was that the message, even though private, had shown the world how important their friendship was. It was a reminder that true friendships aren't about public appearances or flashy moments. They are about the quiet, meaningful support that happens when no one is watching. In fact, the more she reflected on the situation, the more she felt proud. She was proud of the relationship she had with Taylor. She was proud of the fact that they had been able to go through so much together and still remain close. Their friendship was something that couldn't be broken by a leak or by rumors. It had always been real, and it always would be. The internet might have exploded with speculation, but the truth was simple: their friendship was genuine. No matter how many headlines tried to stir up drama, the bond they shared was unshakable. For Selena, that was all that mattered. The day had felt like an endless stream of messages and notifications, and as the hours ticked by, Selena was starting to feel a little worn out. Her phone buzzed constantly with people reaching out, asking how she was handling everything. Her manager had checked in multiple times, offering advice and support. But Selena knew she needed to take a step back, focus, and decide how she wanted to respond to the chaos. She had thought about saying something publicly ever since the leak first hit, but in the midst of everything, she hadn't been sure what to say. What could she say that would clear things up or explain her feelings without making it all more complicated? She knew she had to say something, but it had to be from her heart, something real. After a few hours of quiet thinking, Selena opened her Instagram stories. She stared at the screen for a moment, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then, with a deep breath, she began to type. "Love like this is rare," she wrote. "I'm not embarrassed. It's beautiful." She paused, reading the words again. They felt right, honest. It wasn't about defending herself or explaining the situation. It was simply a reminder to everyone, especially to her fans, that the bond she shared with Taylor was something meaningful, something to be cherished. Selena posted the message. For a few moments, there was a strange sense of calm. She knew that the internet would have plenty to say about her response, but in her heart, she felt a sense of relief. She hadn't needed to say anything complicated. She didn't need to get into the details of how the message had leaked or why it happened. All she needed to do was express the truth. The friendship between her and Taylor was something worth celebrating, not something to be ashamed of. The reaction to her post was immediate. Fans flooded her comments with support. They appreciated her honesty and the way she had handled the situation with grace. Some even shared how they admired the friendship she and Taylor had, pointing out how rare it was to find someone who would stand by you no matter what. Others praised her for being true to herself and not letting the internet's noise get to her. Selena sat back, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. She had spoken her truth, and it had been received in the way she had hoped. There was no need to explain anything further. The message from Taylor had been heartfelt and personal, and Selena wasn't going to let anyone twist it into something it wasn't. She wasn't going to let the leak change the way she saw her friendship with Taylor. Later, Selena saw that Taylor had posted a picture of the two of them laughing together backstage at a concert. No words, just the image. It was a small but powerful gesture. In that moment, it was clear neither of them needed to say anything more. Their friendship spoke for itself. The world might have been watching, but they knew the truth, and that was enough. As the days passed, things slowly started to calm down. The initial chaos surrounding the leak had started to fade. People had moved on to the next big headline, the next viral moment, and the noise around Selena and Taylor's private message had quieted. But for Selena, the experience was still fresh in her mind. She had never imagined that something so personal could cause such a stir. Still, as the dust settled, she began to see the situation in a new light. The internet may have exploded with opinions, but one thing became clearer to her with every passing hour. The message was a symbol of something real. The friendship between her and Taylor was authentic, built on years of trust, laughter, and support. The world might have been curious about their relationship, but at the end of the day, what mattered most was that they knew the truth. And the truth was simple. They had a bond that was unshakable. Selena spent the next few days focusing on what really mattered: her music, her work, and her well-being. She spent time with close friends and family, taking time away from social media to center herself. While the world may have been watching, she realized that she didn't need to explain herself to anyone. Her friendship with Taylor was hers to cherish, and it was something neither of them needed to justify. One afternoon, Selena found herself scrolling through old pictures on her phone. She came across a photo of her and Taylor at an event years ago. Both of them were laughing, caught in a moment of pure joy. It was a reminder of how far they had come, of the many years of support and laughter they had shared. Seeing the picture made Selena smile. It reminded her that, no matter what people said, the connection they had was built on memories and moments that could never be taken away. Selena also found herself reflecting on how the leak had shifted the conversation around friendship. She had always known that people admired the bond she and Taylor shared, but now it seemed like the world was taking a closer look at what true friendship really looked like. People were sharing stories about their own best friends, talking about the people who had supported them through tough times. It was inspiring to see how the leak had sparked such meaningful conversations about the value of strong, lasting relationships. Even though it had been a difficult experience, Selena realized that there were some positives to come out of it. The message Taylor had sent her had been a reminder to not take the people who matter most for granted. It was a reminder that in a world that often focuses on fame and attention, the real treasures are the people who have your back when no one else does. As the days went by, Selena felt stronger. The storm had passed, and she had come out of it with a renewed sense of appreciation for the people who truly mattered in her life. Taylor's friendship had been a constant in her world, and no leak, no headline could change that. Weeks had passed since the message leak, and life was starting to return to normal. Selena had learned so much from the experience. The storm of attention and the buzz from the media were distant memories now, but the lessons it had taught her stayed with her. She realized how much strength she had, how deeply rooted her friendships were, and how important it was to stay true to herself, no matter what the world said. The most important thing she took away from it all was the idea of vulnerability. When the message from Taylor had been shared, it had been a raw, real moment between two people who trusted each other completely. At first, Selena had been hurt by the fact that such a private message had gone public. But over time, she saw that the leak wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was a reminder of what a beautiful, genuine friendship could look like, one without the walls that so often go up when people are afraid to show their true selves. Selena had been moved by the support of her fans. She had read countless messages from people who admired the way she handled the situation, especially the way she had spoken so openly about the importance of friendship. The internet had a way of amplifying the smallest details, But in this case, the result had been something positive, a reminder to people everywhere about the importance of kindness and loyalty. As for Taylor, she and Selena had spoken about the leak privately, but there was no need for any big statements or dramatic conversations. They both agreed that the message had been real, and that was enough. In many ways, the leak had only brought them closer. They had always been there for each other, but now they appreciated their bond even more. The world had gotten a glimpse of their friendship, and though it had been accidental, they both knew it was something special. Through it all, Selena had also rediscovered the value of time. She had taken a step back from the frenzy of the internet and focused on the things that truly mattered: her family, her close friends, and her work. She had always been busy with her career, but after the leak, she made a conscious effort to slow down, to savor the moments that made life meaningful. It was easy to get caught up in the hustle of the entertainment industry, but Selena knew that the moments with her loved ones were what would last. In the months that followed, things settled into a new routine. Selena continued to work on new projects, sharing her music with the world and supporting causes that were close to her heart. But she never forgot the lessons the leak had taught her. She had learned that true friendship was something that could withstand anything, and that no matter what happened in the world, the most important thing was staying grounded in the love and support of those who cared about her. As she looked ahead to the future, Selena felt a sense of peace. The leak had been a turning point, but it had also been a reminder that the best things in life weren't the headlines or the fame. It was the friendships that lasted, the memories that were built, and the moments of true connection that couldn't be measured by likes or comments.